least OBS is reporting things are okay. I remember to plug in my microphone this time, so that makes quite a bit of difference. And yeah, it looks like I am live. Let me mute that so you don't get any feedback. Cool. I think things are good. So yeah, I'm just gonna do this real quick. So hey, I'm Joshua, and this is Lunch Break Roguelike, where I spend my lunch hour working on a small roguelike project. Normally, I work on a game called Delver, which I am the artist for, and I stream every Sunday. Uh, they're doing art and development for that. And some folks expressed interest in maybe learning just some programming, so I thought it'd be fun just to do a little pet project during my lunch break and kind of, I guess, show people how I would approach making a game from scratch in Python and a roguelike, all that good stuff. So if you're following along at home, I actually set up a repository for the code to live in, so you can download the code, learn from it, etc. You can follow along at home if that's your thing. You can find it at github.com/joshua_skelly/lunchbreakrl. Um, you will need both Python. You can get Python at python.org. It is the programming language I'll be using for this series. And you also need to get Git, spelled Git. Yeah, I think git-scm is probably the best place to acquire it. Because I will be using this for source control, and this is how I push to and from GitHub. So if you would like to go ahead and pull this code right now, I think I need to do that too. I think I'm kind of assuming starting from scratch. Yeah. So browse to my Git repo, and you can click the fork button in the top right. And what this will do is this will make a copy of the code underneath your account, and then you can clone it. So you just click this clone or download. You can copy this link, and then here in our command line, you can just do a. Can you see that? Make sure. You can do a git clone, paste in that URL, and this will pull down the source code. So if we change directories to lunch break or roguelike and do a listing, you can see there's just two files in there, just a license and a README. There's not really a lot in here right now. I just wanted to start off basically bare bones and kind of work our way up. I'm going to try to keep this a pretty simple project. Don't want to go too crazy, but I do want to talk about like source control and software development and like software architecture, design, stuff like that. So feel free to ask me questions, all the good stuff. Also, hey, I'm going to archive this out to YouTube. So if you're a future person, if you are not watching this live on Twitch, but if you're watching an archive of this, there might be a lot more code or more files in the repository. If you want to follow along from this exact point in time, you can do a git checkout. And I think you do EP0, which will check out the source control at this specific point in time. It kind of puts your code in kind of this weird detached state. But if you ever want to get back to just the normal, you can just do a git reset. I think head -- hard. And that will put you back in line. All right, no, do a git checkout master. Sorry. Git checkout master will put you back on the main branch. But basically I tagged it. So if you look at a git tag, I tagged the start of episode 0. So that's how you can reference that. I'll be doing this for every future episode. Hopefully I can do this every lunch hour just throughout the week, Monday through Friday. And you can check out a particular day's code and you can see the progress there if you want to follow along. If not, don't worry about it. So we're using Python, which you can get at python.org, and we're using Git for source control. So I think what's next is let's get what I want to do is I want to use this. There's a library called libtcod, which is a pretty popular library for writing roguelikes with. And they have a binding. There's a couple bindings for Python, and I'm going to use the one that's called TDL because apparently that is the one that is the most Pythonic. So I think when you're writing Python code, it's also nice to work with libraries that are Pythonic. Because I think that libtcod is C++. So trying to write like Python that's C style is kind of awkward. So we're going to be using libtdl, which I just found by searching Python and TDL, and it brings up this Python package index. These were a bunch of like user created Python packages live. You can actually just install it too this way as well. So there's this just a pip. This is a Python. I forget what pip stands for. It's like Python install package or something like that. And then install and then the name of the package. So just go to our directory here and just do a pip install TDL. And this will do some magic. It'll pull down the source code for TDL. It will do any building it needs to get done. And it may need to compile some, like I said, for the part of the build stuff might be compiling C or C++, or it might have binaries it pulls down, but it looks like it's already done. And I think the easiest way to verify this is if you type in, like I have my Python interpreter set to my path, so I can just type in Python, and it actually runs a Python interpreter. And I should just type in import TDL. There we go. And you should be able to do like a TDL version. Most modules have, or most packages have this. Yeah. So that's generally the kind of a general Python practice. Just to make sure that things imported okay. So this verifies that we installed TDL correctly, and this is just a property on that that package is just the version. So we got version 3.10, and I can just type in quit to get out of the interpreter back to my command line. Okay. Actually, let me. Another good thing to do is if I look at pip list, this will tell me all the packages I have installed. So generally, you'll have pip and setup tools out of the box. And it looks like there are a few things that this pulled down. But what I want to do is I want to write these dependencies. These are things that TDL depends on. So people can easily people easily install stuff without having to do a whole lot of work. So I'm just going to do a pip freeze. And what that will do is it just prints out the list of dependencies. So I'm just going to do that again, but I'm going to cat it over to a requirements.txt. This is just a general Python practice. If I cat requirements.txt, you'll see it just took the output and put it in there. So let's go ahead and edit this because I think all I really want to do is just include TDL. These other things are incidental and I don't really care about them. So I'm just going to use VS Code to start as my IDE. And all I really want is TDL, so I can just delete the rest and save. Because what this allows you to do now is if you are just coming into it, say in episode 1, you can do a pip install-r and then requirements.txt. And this will install all the requirements. I think right now I should say, yeah, it's already satisfied. Which is nice too. I think it'll upgrade to if the version is not equal to that that's specified in this requirements file. So we've got a requirements file. And this is, yeah, a lot of this the 0 episode probably is just going to be structuring the project and really just kind of getting things going. We might not actually, we'll probably get to, let's throw some stuff on screen real quick just so we have, so we can see what we're doing, right? So let's go to, what do we want? Let's make a new file. Let's just call it test.py. I'm using VS Code. VS Code, sure. I'll install this. I'll probably still run most of the stuff from the command line, but having like just being able to look at code, like signatures for stuff for packages is very handy. So I think also if we look at Python TDL GitHub. So if we're looking out here, this right here, this hexadecimal / python-tdl, this is where the source code lives for TDL. And if you look, they have an examples directory. And I think I was poking around with this just last night. And there is this movement.py, which I'm just going to just lift and show you kind of how it works. So I'll paste that in here, and we'll kind of go over it. And this, we can use this as a starting point, just understanding like the basics of a game loop, how TDL kind of ties into that. And also they use this it's just basically a sprite sheet that is the text for it. So I'm just going to download this, save image as, yeah, that seems fine. And if you notice, it does have kind of a funky name. It's a terminal 8x8 underscore gs underscore row.ping. I think the 8x8 is what tells TDL the size of the tile, and you can change that if you want to have bigger or smaller tiles. But this should be enough to get things going. So let's look at our test.py. And we should just be able to actually just go here to our command line, do a Python test.py. I think you spell it correctly. And what this does is it brings up let me see, I'll minimize all this stuff, a little console window, and you can move the at around, which is the very kind of like fundamental, I guess, verb of a roguelike is moving this little at around. And let's kind of take a look at the code and see what's going on. So there's this import TDL, which is this import directive, which says we're going to be using the code from this package or library. Width and height are variables that we're defining as 40 and 30. This variable definition is somewhat unique to Python. Usually you'll see stuff like width equals 30, height equals 40 or something like that. Usually they're on separate lines, but in Python you can declare the variables this way, and it's totally fine. And then movement keys, they're just building up a dictionary. So what this does is it has the name of a key, and then it returns a direction. This is a little advanced right now, but basically when I hit the up key, it moves. It returns this 0, -1 coordinate, which I guess indicates that we want to move up the screen versus down the screen. And same things, you look, they also had diagonal keys and numpad keys. And then this TDL font set, this is just a method that sets the font. This is actually called on the module itself. And then we pass in just the name to the font file. And then we do a tdl.init, with which, if I recall correctly, it does quite a bit of stuff. Yeah, but it says start the main console given root and height with console. So a lot of what we're going to be dealing with are these objects called consoles, and tdl.init returns us a console, which I believe is the root or the main console for the window. And if we want to show text there, that's the thing that we interact with. We can create additional consoles, but they are in effect like off-screen consoles that we can render stuff to and then copy that out to the main console. But we need to hang on to this one that's returned by init because that's the main one we're going to be working with. And then here, these player coordinates, player X, player Y, again, similar to how they defined it above, 1 and 2. So it puts it, I think it's row 1, column 2. I think it's how that works. Maybe. I think also, if you notice too, it probably does it from the top left. Yeah. No, it was, yeah, so column 1, row 2. Okay. But yeah, so this, the top left, this is considered 0, 0 up here. It's nice to know kind of your chords. So the going up on the screen is negative on the y-axis, and down is positive. Then the console clear. What this does is it clears out all the content of the console. So if I were to comment this out and then run it, let's observe what happens. So what we're doing is we're continually drawing the new @ symbol, but we are never clearing out the screen. So we just leave a little trail of ats behind us. And this is a typical game dev thing. Is usually you want to clear the buffer or the whatever you're drawing to. You want to clear almost every single frame. And this right here is the main game loop, and it's a pretty classical loop. It's an infinite loop. You do a clear, and then you do like a draw. This is like a render, and this will yeah. So this is the render part. And then this is the event handling part. And then inside the event handling, we do a little bit of updating. Sometimes that's broken out, sometimes that's not. So we grab the key, or actually so this TDL event get, what this should do is it should return all of the events since the last time this was called. So this might be multiple events, so we have to kind of run through them. This is this for loop. So for event in TDL event.get. This will return us a list of events, and this will let us work with one event at a time. Then we check the type, see if it's key down. If it is key down, then I guess we say the key character to upper, so this just converts it to upper, so we can do a comparison. And then we check this dictionary, so we look up here and see, is it up, down, left, right? This is a containment check in Python. You can ask lists and other sequences if they contain a certain value. In the case of dictionaries, the containment checks were a key. And then we get the x and the y, and this will return a delta x, delta y, and then we increment player x plus equals key.x, player y plus equals key.y. Yeah, and then we just do this forever until we get the event type quit, which I guess gets raised when I click the X up here in the window. I think also Alt F4 should do it. Command Q on Mac should do it. Now that's another thing too is about the reason I chose Python is it is cross-plat, which is nice. If you're following along in other platforms, there really shouldn't be any differences as to what you're doing. Yeah, so this is really the rough basics. So I guess I might just I might refactor this a little bit just so it's structured. Let's just real quick. Let's just make a new file. Let's call it game.py. I don't know why I keep adding that O in there. Sorry. Game.py. Just let it know it's a Python file. And I'm just going to split that out. And what we really need is we just need to import TDL. And we need to we go ahead and copy this line to the set font. So TDL.set font, and it's just this terminal 8x8 underscore gs underscore row.ping, and the console equals tdl.init. And then you pass in some parameters. So the width, I think here they say is 40, 30. Here I'm not using variables. I'm just passing in literals because I'm just getting something started. And then this is typically the name of it. So I'm going to call this lunch break roguelike. I think lunch break is 2 words. Cool. And that should be enough to actually get it going. And then we can just do while true. This is fine. It looks a little weird. Console.clear, which is a method. We need to invoke it. And then tdl.flush, which just forces the screen to draw. And for events in tdl.event.get. And then if event.type equals quit, they're raising a system exit. Interesting. You also just do I think a break would be enough to get us out of the this loop. Also, feel free to ask questions, folks. It's not a strict tutorial by any means, but feel free to ask questions. Hopefully people can hear me. Yeah, so let's see if that works. Cool, so this is all it does. It opens up a new window. It's not drawing anything, so we haven't told it to draw anything, but it should. Oh, Yeah, so maybe I do need to add that. Let me go here and just hit Control C to kill that. And it looks like I do need to raise a system exit event. Or I want, I can also probably do something like running, here, let's say, running equals true while running. Then here you say running equals false. Unless TDL does something special. Yeah, there we go. So basically what this does is just when you hit quit, we can exit this loop, so it's not purely infinite. And if we need to do any cleanup, we can do cleanup afterwards. Cool. All right. So, and then I think basically here we do all of our drawing stuff. So I think it's just you can just do simple stuff like console.draw care, and you can draw anything. So I think like at 0, 0. Then you can put like an exclamation point. And that should just draw an exclamation point in the top left. Yep. Which is, I mean, that's kind of the whole heart of what we're doing here is this method, these two methods to clear everything out and then to draw stuff. I think will be super useful. Actually, it is the heart. And I think also too, the nice thing about TDL is there's not a lot. The API, the footprint is pretty small, so we don't have to really worry about learning a lot. It should be pretty easy to pick up and go. So cool. That's all I really need for now. What do I want? I need to start structuring stuff a little bit. It would be nice. Let's create a class. Let's create a module player.py. This will hold our class player of type object. This isn't like. So this is defining a class that derives from the base object. You don't have to add that, but I add that just I guess for completeness' sake. And let's just do a pass. If you notice, Python demands like all these tabs to determine scope. A lot of programming languages say something like var t equals function. And this is a JavaScript looking thing, right? And the scope is defined by these curly braces, whereas Python uses white space. So you need to make sure you have your tabs. And this pass just because you can't do this because it'll complain that there's no implementation of player, but you can put a pass there. It's useful for stubbing stuff out like def. Define a function called foo, and I don't want to implement it right now, so I just leave it as pass. But what this should do is allow us to here say from the player module import the player class, and we should be able to say p equals player, which will create a new player. If we run this, it won't do very much. In fact, it does nothing. What we could do is we could add implementation to here. Say this print foo. And then here I can just say p.foo to invoke that. And now when I run it in the console, I should see it should spit out foo. Oh yeah, I goofed up because this is a class method and it needs the self parameter. Because in Python, all the methods get passed an implicit or a reference to the instance of the class that called it. So you just need to throw that in there. Even though you don't actually pass it, it gets passed automatically. So that should fix that. And then yeah, see, so when we call that method, that gets printed out to the console. So that's also a way of debugging stuff, is you can just print like print drawing, and down here you can print handling events. This just loops as fast as it can forever. I think you can limit the FPS in TDL, but I don't know if we really need to. The nice thing about roguelikes is they're pretty graphically lightweight, so it's more focusing on programming than actually um, uh, worried about graphic stuff. So we have a game package and a player packet, or a module, game module and player module. Sorry, excuse me, I'm mixing these up. And this player module has a player object. So let's go ahead and give the player let's give it a constructor. And what this is this gets called whenever you create a new object. So when you call this create an instance of player, this init gets called, and Python has these special methods with these two underscores they're just kind of magic, and you just implement if you want certain functionality. Let's say self dot position equals 0, 0, and then also we want a let's say a def draw, and this takes in a console, and then I'm just going to lift this over here. I'm going to say a console draw character, and this needs to be at self dot position 0, and self dot position 1, and of course we want to draw the @ symbol because that is the player. So now I can get rid of this line and put in p dot draw and then pass it in the console. So if I run it now, yep, player has no attribute foo. Oh yeah, because so I removed this method from the player implementation, but I'm trying to invoke it here. So let's just clean that up, and then this should fix things. So now, yeah, if you can, it's kind of hard to see. It's teeny tiny, but there is a little @ symbol in the top right. We can't move around at all. We could do something like here, say p dot location equals 10, 10, and then that will reposition the player. Why didn't that work? Oh, not location, position. You have to be careful too, because like calling or assigning that property did actually work. Python doesn't care. You can assign attributes on the fly to objects, and it just assumes what you know what you're doing. So we have our little player drawing, which is cool. But what we really want to do is something like have the player draw, and then have the player update, because that way we can have the player respond to events. Because basically that's what we need to do is and this, if you look at if you remember the test.py, they were having, whenever you hit this key event, they would change the player's position. And we can do that in a number of ways. Right now I'm just going for a simple implementation, and we can clean things up as we go. So these first episodes are probably going to be pretty basic, but we'll start building up some nice classes in architecture here, maybe in a few more. Hey, Hawaii, thanks for stopping by, man. Yeah, I had to start the stream a little early today too. I have a doctor's appointment right at 1 o'clock, so I needed to. I plan on doing these. So I live on the West Coast in the U.S., so I plan on doing these from 12 to 1 Pacific. But today started off a little early, so I'm starting off on a strange foot. Hopefully, people can forgive that. Cool. So then we need a def update. So cool. We want to call this update every frame, or every tick per se. Let me see. So then Blah, 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 blah. What we could do, I guess for the time being, is we could just pass in this event to the player, and it can do its own thing, I suppose. Yeah. Just call it def handle events event. So yeah, so Dakota's asking what I'm working on. So I'm working on a fun little project called Lunch Break Roguelike, which every lunch I will work on this little project, and uh, folks can follow along if they want or not. It's just a nice little excuse for me to make a roguelike in Python that I've wanted to do for a while. Okay, yeah. So we want to say, yeah, we need to check this event. This is. I'm not super thrilled about doing it this way, but um, I can figure out a better way to go in the future. So if event type equals key down, and then we want to just grab which key down we got. Um, so event.keyChar is what we want. So event.keyChar. So this is the key that was hit. And I think they use what, up, down, left, right. I think it would make the most sense. Yeah, up, down, left, right. We do something simple like if event keyChar dot upper. This just returns uppercase equals up. Then we do some sort of logic. And then we can just copy this and paste it and just do one for each of the 4 cardinal directions. And the thing too is we don't need to check all of these because it's only ever handles one key press. So what we can do is we can make this an elif instead of an if. So we only check until we find one of these that is true. And we do up, down, left, and right. So if we're going up, self position equals, let me see, what's the best way to do this? Self position and 0, self position 1 minus 1, and then down is the other direction. Then I think going left, we need to subtract 1 from the x chord. And then subtract, we need to add 1 to the x coordinate here. Okay, let's save that. Then we need to make sure we're calling it from our game. So for an event in t.event get, we just need to say t.handle events and pass it in the event. And that way the player will do the right thing. So our main game loop right now is while we're running, clear the console, so clear the screen, draw the player, flush the screen, and then get the events. And let's see what that looks like. Oh, handle text positional forgiven. Did I implement that wrong? Oh, yep. I need to pass in a self as well. Sorry about that. I guess I'm used to a little bit more robust of an IDE that does a lot for me. So yeah, I keep forgetting that. But yeah, so now we have a player class that responds to events, which is pretty cool. This is kind of basically where we started with the example, but we kind of refactored out the player. The player lives in its own file and it handles all of its own logic. So the main game doesn't, I mean, aside from creating the player, all it does is it tells the player to draw itself and then tells the player to handle the events. Cool. Okay. Yeah, I'm not. Again, I think there's maybe a better way to do this, but I'm not entirely sure. And like usually, um, like an update usually is like for like real time games. You want to have the player handle some sort of internal logic. Usually you'll do like either physics calculations or you'll do like other things here. But right now, that's not super important. Okay. Also, let me take a quick. Let me just look at our repo. Yeah. So right now, I'm noticing that this VS Code file and this PyCache file, um, we don't need them. They are specific to my environment, and the PyCache is just when I run it, stuff gets built. So I want to have git ignore these. So to do that, we can just do make a git ignore file. .git ignore, and we can add in the stuff we want to ignore. So we want to say ignore IDE artifacts. So this should be like .vs code. If I save that, I should be able to go back here to my command prompt and do a git status. And then it's no longer showing that this VS Code file needs to be added, or it's not being tracked because it doesn't care about it. This PyCache we don't care about. So let's say ignore Python artifacts, which should be star.pyc, I think underscore PyCache. Let's see if that gets it. Yeah, and that looks better. Those are the things we actually care about preserving the changes. Cool. What else? I got 20 minutes here. Hawaii says, you use Git for all of my projects? Yeah, for all my projects, I do use Git. In the past, I've used CVS and SVN, but those are older and not as nice as Git. So I'm thinking, as far as design for this project, I want to keep it simple. I want to keep maybe just a single screen roguelike would be fine. Maybe with classical inheritance, nothing too crazy. Yeah, I guess it might be cool to maybe just quickly uh, let's maybe make a quick little map. The new file, and let's call it map.py. And let's say this is just a class called map, which derives from object. Basically, this is just going to be, actually, that might be overkill right now. Let's mock one up real quick. So instead of building a lot of structure, I can just say map equals, let's say it's an array. What we want to do is we want to have a 40, basically we want to have a 40 by 30 array similar to the size of the screen and put characters there. So it could look something like, um, I think that's, quickly do something like for x in range 40, for y in range 30, and then if x equals 0, map append say that. So what this should do If x equals 0, should be appending that. Otherwise, just append nothing. And then let me see. So for here, similarly for if map x y console draw the draw care draw what is it? That draw care or char, however you say it. X y map at x comma y. So what I'm doing is I'm stuffing this map array either full of symbols or full of nuns. If there's a symbol there, we draw it. If not, we don't. See what that looks like. That should just be Python game.py. Yep, out of range. Curious. Let me see if I can just build the thing. Oh yeah. Here we go. Maybe the append isn't what I want. Let me. I'm just jumping to a console here real quick and just typing commands manually. Yeah, that should be fine. It's complaining about something being if map x comma y. Yeah, it's complaining about this right here. It's something. I'm using the same range constructed, so that's curious. Oh, because I'm not actually so map at x. Yeah, so I'm not actually doing a. So I say row equals new there, and then row dot append there, and then map dot append row. There we go. So I was goofing up my 2D array, it looks like. So for, I don't know what happened there. Basically, we're build out a row of characters. Yep, it's still complaining. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna be getting this flipped around. None type is not scriptable. Yeah, maybe I'm going about this the wrong way. Yeah. Let me just do it like this. let's just do a real basic one. Okay. So this just should be 4 and 4 here. Yeah, so there we're drawing a little 4x4 square of hashtag of pound signs there. Let me make sure I got my dimensions right too. So yeah, looks like I got to turn sideways. Why says that's what I meant by map. Yeah. Um, or scene, or however you want to term it. I'm just looking at yeah, range 8. Right now, I'm just thinking of just like a player and a map is just a very basic thing that represents something else that can be drawn on screen. Right now, the player can go anywhere really, even on top of the quote map, just because of the way that works. What's curious though is it looks like this is an interesting artifact. Is the player wraps. Like if I go up, they wrap around the screen, and I think it's the call to. If you look at the player here, also this is incorrect. This draw care, I think this wraps by default. So I think I can just say if self dot position is in the console. So if the position is contained within the console, draw it. Otherwise, don't. And that should take care of that, I believe. Yeah. So when you're off screen, it no longer draws, which is a handy little function just to check containment, which is nice. So yeah. So maybe we have this little map too. If you notice, the map draws on top of the player, and I think that's just an ordering thing. So if we look back here, a little game loop. Let me see. Yeah, so this is the map being drawn. This is the player being drawn. I can just put that below the map, and then the player should draw on top. It should just be the last thing being drawn wins. So yeah, now you can see the player on top of the map, sort of. I think I can also I think I can just do a TDL set color. That might be nice to help make that a little bit more noticeable. So I think I can do probably need let's just import TDL here. And I think I can do TDL.set set colors. That's deprecated. Is it console.set colors? Let me pull up the documentation. or look at the. Let me just really quickly popping over here to the examples again. Um, yeah, here we go. Here is the just the class ref for TDL and console. Set colors. There we go. And then foreground and background. I think those are just triples. So I don't need TDL here. I can just do a console.set colors, and foreground is, let's say, 2550, and just copy those, and then just basically what we're doing is we are setting the foreground to red, drawing the player, and then restoring the foreground color so we don't impact the map being drawn. Yeah, so now we have a little red player. They move around. You can see them more clearly on top of the map. Cool. And it's nice that the map is not impacted either. Um, I like Python because it's cross-plat and it's pretty. I can develop pretty quick in it. Okay. Let me see. That's a pretty basic. Yeah, so I guess now I could worry about my map class maybe. I got 5 minutes left. What can I do in this 5 minutes? Let me do it this way. So let me fix my loop here real quick. I'm just looking that up. This index is all the rows. No, it should be YX. There we go. Yeah, that's how it should be drawing. Okay, cool. Yeah. And then trying to think the easiest way to construct this map. I can copy this. Let me think. Hmm. Yeah, I am the art guy for Delver, and this is just my little lunch project. Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna leave it here. This is I guess an okay enough place to leave it. I'm only gonna spend an hour on this. It's gonna be very time boxed because yeah, I do have most of my time is now spent working on Delver. But yeah, over my I think I decided over my lunch break I'm gonna take some time just to make a little game. And this is where we're leaving it at right now. So Python game.py, and we have a little symbol we can move around and something in the top left. Not quite sure what that is yet, but it will eventually become something that the player can interact with and have to deal with. Right now, it is just a graphic representation of something. Cool. Let me go ahead and commit this, and I'll call it a day. Now what I'm just going to do is just a git commit -a m, so that will commit everything that's it'll commit everything that's just because typically you can do something like if you want to do like a piecemeal thing, you can do a git add and say .git ignore the git status, and then this green file is the file that will be committed. Then these are not staged yet, but I can just do a git commit -am just to include everything. And this is basic player movement. Git status. Oh, did not grab that. Interesting. Let's do blah, 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 blah. Let's see, how do I amend a commit? Yeah, just do git add dot git status, then git commit amend. Knew there was an easy way to do that. Blah, 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 blah. Let me try to think. Oh man. There we go. Also, let me do a git tag -a f1. This will mark the start for the next for tomorrow's stream. -m episode 1. Git push tags. Cool. I think that should be good. We should be able to pop over here. At least pull up the GitHub page and refresh. And yeah, there's all sorts of stuff out here now. Cool. Well, thanks folks for popping in. Yep, Embro got it. Yeah, I'm gonna try to stream tomorrow from noon to 1 my time. I have a doctor's appointment I need to run off to here, so yeah, thanks for bearing with me. We'll get this figured out, and hopefully we'll make something cool, but try to keep it small and contained. All right, folks, thanks for popping by. I will see you tomorrow.